At this point, we're all aware of the whole Diddy saga. The floodgates opened when on November 16, 2023, his ex-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, filed a lawsuit against him, alleging that he had been abusing her for years. Along with that, Combs was also accused of blowing up a man's car after he found out she was romantically involved with him. In addition to that, she alleged that Combs would force her to engage in sexual acts with male prostitutes during private parties that Diddy allegedly called the freak-offs. And there's many more allegations involved that have been gone over and talked about extensively. But since then, there's been a roller coaster of events, including his homes being raided, a multitude of lawsuits, and his reputation going down the drain. In this video, we're going to take a deep dive into Diddy's history and the sequence of events that led to where we're at today. John Diddy Combs was born in 1969 in the Harlem neighborhood of New York City. He was raised in Mount Vernon by his mother Janice, who was a model and teacher's assistant, and his dad Melvin, who served in the U.S. Air Force. Now, it's interesting to note that Diddy's father was a friend and associate of American drug lord Frank Lucas, and Frank was mentioned on multiple outlets that they were friends and had done business together. His father would unfortunately pass away at the young age of 33 when he was shot dead while sitting in his car when Diddy was just 2 years old. Combs would go on to attend Howard University but didn't graduate, as he would leave after his sophomore year. His career began in 1990 when he worked as an intern at New York's Uptown Records, working under the guidance of label founder Andre Harrell. He helped develop acts such as Jodeci and Mary J. Blige and had a reputation for throwing wild parties. Usher, who lived with them for a year in 1991 when he was just 13 years old, said in an interview with Howard Stern that Combs had a pretty wild lifestyle during that time.
I moved to New York City, and I lived with Sean Puffy Combs for a year.
That's the crazy thing. Now, that was L.A. Reid's idea, right? We're sending you over to something called Puffy Flavor Camp.
There you go.
To learn
Flavor Camp.
Yeah,
Flavor
that's
Camp.
what it was called. And you're going to go to Puff Daddy's. He's going
In the 90s, do you understand what that's like?
Puffy's place was like just filled with chicks and orgying like nonstop, right?
No, not really. I
Come
mean,
on.
but hey, it was curious. I got a chance to see some things.
Yeah, but you were 13. What were you seeing?
I went there to see the lifestyle.
Right.
And I saw it. And it was but I don't know if I could indulge and understand what I was even looking at. It was pretty wild.
14 years old. You're a dad now. Would you ever send your kid to Puffy Camp?
Hell no.
So it was apparent that pretty early on, Diddy was already giving off some red flags. Like he said, Usher lived with Diddy to get a taste of the lifestyle, all a part of Diddy's Flavor Camp, which was made specifically for that, to expose teenagers within the industry to the lifestyle that it came with. Later that year, on December 28th, 1991, Diddy would help promote an AIDS fundraiser along with Heavy D in the gym at the City College of New York. Artists like Boyz II Men, Jodeci, Run DMC, and Big Daddy Kane were all set to perform. Word spread fast, and before anyone knew it, nearly 5,000 people showed up. In the midst of the performance, people attended to rush the doors, causing a stampede. 9 people were crushed to death and another 29 were injured.
A few times I thought I was gonna pass out because it was hot on that staircase. You know what I'm saying? And when they closed the doors, I knew something was going down.
City College was a deep experience for me. I was there, I was on the floor, I watched people take their last breath, regurgitate, and die.
It was a circle. It was a circle of problems. It was the kids too pushing. The kids that died were the kids that were in the staircase waiting to get in, and then the crowd just broke the doors.
Diddy would ultimately end up paying around $600,000 after lawsuits were brought forth by the families, while the city and promoters were also held responsible. This seemed to mark the beginning of the chaos that would seem to surround Diddy for the rest of his career. Diddy would eventually get fired from Uptown Records in 1993, and he would start his own label, Bad Boy Records, shortly after, bringing along his new Uptown signee with him, Biggie Smalls. The label found mainstream success with Craig Mack and Biggie's debut albums, Funk the World and Ready to Die, and things were on the up and up. Combs would go on to sign more acts to Bad Boy, including Faith Evans, 112, Total, and many more, solidifying the label as a force to be reckoned with in hip-hop. Now, around this time, there was tension brewing between the East and West Coast, with Biggie and Tupac at the center of it. This beef resulted in the deaths of both Biggie and Pac, and for years there have been rumors that Diddy himself may have had something to do with it. Biggie's murder remains unsolved until this day, but more recently we've learned that Keefe D was the man responsible for orchestrating the hit against Pac.
27 years. For 27 years, the family of Tupac Shakur has been waiting for justice. We are here today to announce the arrest of 60-year-old Dwayne Keith Davis, aka Keefe D, for the murder of Tupac Shakur.
The whole beef started on November 30th, 1994, when Pac was robbed at Quad Studios. Initially, Pac thought Bad Boy was behind the robbery, as coincidentally, a bunch of Bad Boy artists were at the studio that night, and on top of that, Biggie released the record Who Shot Ya shortly after. Allegedly, the way the song was marketed and promoted made it look like a dig towards Pac, and obviously convinced him that they were the ones responsible. Although all signs pointed towards Bad Boy being the culprit, it turns out that it was actually Jimmy Henchman, a former A&R who's currently serving life in prison, that initiated the robbery. But the damage was already done. Pac was convinced that Bad Boy was responsible for getting him shot. After getting bailed out of jail from Death Row Records by CEO Suge Knight, he went on offense and released one of the biggest diss tracks of all time with Hit 'Em Up, where he took shots at Biggie and the whole Bad Boy label. It was at this point where Diddy reached his boiling point.
And you said that you heard Puffy say something. You said, I don't care if Pac gotta die, I don't care if Big gotta die, something has to change.
Right.
When did he say that?
He said, yo, Gene, I got 126 employees, and these people depend on me for their livelihoods. If these white folks thought or they would think that I had anything to do with any kind of gunplay, they wasn't gonna fuck with me, and they not gonna fuck with me. He said, I'm a businessman. I'm about making money, but something gotta change. I don't give a fuck if Pac gotta die, Big gotta die, or Suge Knight go to jail. Something's gotta change.
On September 7th, 1996, Tupac Shakur would be killed in a drive-by by shooting in Las Vegas, Nevada after the Mike Tyson-Bruce Seldon fight. In 2008, Keefe D would confess that his nephew Orlando Anderson was the one who pulled the trigger, also admitting that Diddy offered them $1 million to kill Biggie and Pac.
Keefe D has now identified his own nephew as the murderer of Tupac Shakur.
Bolstering Keefe D's claim was an informant in 1997 who told investigators that Puffy had hired the Southside Crips to kill both Suge and Tupac, and that the Crip who was jumped at the MGM was in the group that had done the hit, and that they originally were going to do it at Suge's Vegas nightclub, but then decided to do it right away instead of waiting.
Sadly, just 6 months after Shakur's death in March of 1997, Biggie would be shot and killed as well while attending a Soul Train Music Awards after party. Multiple reports allege that Big was preparing to leave Bad Boy before his death. Regardless, Diddy fought Biggie's lawyers tooth and nail for his publishing rights, stating that he would never give it up.
Do you think Puffy cared if Biggie got killed knowing he was going to leave Bad Boy? Because you made a comment before, my man, and you said that you believed that Biggie was going to leave Bad Boy. And you also made a comment before, and you said that Puffy made a comment saying that he didn't care if Biggie or Tupac got killed. So do you think Puffy cared if Biggie got killed in LA since he knew he was going to leave Bad Boy?
Well, I think that nobody wants anybody to get killed, per se. I don't think unless he's an enemy or something like that. But he knew Big was leaving the label.
Even after Biggie's death, Diddy would continue to capitalize off of it as he would release his posthumous album Life After Death and proceeded to drop his own project No Way Out just a few months later. Drama continued to surround Diddy throughout the 90s and 2000s. The label was thriving off Biggie's legacy and kept the momentum with rising stars such as Shine, Mace, and Black Rob. Diddy's ego and erratic behavior was in full effect. In April of 1999, Combs barged into Interscope offices to confront executive Steve Stout for not cutting him out of a crucifixion scene in Nas's music video for Hate Me Now. He punched me in the face and then he grabbed the phone and bashed me in the head with it, Stout told the LA Times. He would eventually settle with Stout for the assault for a reported $500,000 and avoided a 7-year prison sentence. Just a few months later, Combs would be arrested for a nightclub shooting where 3 people were injured. One of his newest acts, Shine, would become the fall guy as he was convicted for firing the shots and was sentenced to 10 years. Diddy would eventually be acquitted in March of 2001. Now let's get into his long-term relationship with model Kim Porter. Diddy and Porter first started dating in 1994 and were on and off until 2007 and had 3 kids together. She ended their relationship after finding out that Combs had a secret child on the way with Sarah Chapman, former ex-girlfriend of Tupac, while she was pregnant with their twin daughters. In 2000, Diddy found out she had started dating music executive Shakir Stewart. While at L.A. Reid's wedding in Italy, Diddy confronted Stewart in his room and allegedly broke a chair over his head, head, causing him to need stitches. So it was evident that Diddy was a wild man on the loose who had suffered little consequences or repercussions for his behavior. He would extort and blackball anyone who didn't fall in line and used every resource at his disposal to do so. Nobody would know that better than Wendy Williams. For example, back in 1998, radio host Wendy Williams would be fired from Hot 97 due to her saying she had evidence that Combs was gay, claiming to have had photographic proof with him being intimate with another man. Allegedly, Diddy threatened to sue if the radio station didn't fire her. Now, there have been rumors of Diddy being gay going around for years. Back in 2015, the Fat Jew went on a podcast and told a story about he was at Diddy's mansion party on Star Island in Miami when he accidentally walked in on Diddy spooning with Felix the house cat on a bed with another man. Allegedly, Diddy had threatened the Fat Jew after the podcast, telling him that he needed to say that he was joking.
I am absolutely not the guy. But one thing that was happening recently was that with the whole cancellation of Diddy, you know, Diddy got canceled.
Because of Cassie?
Just like
she took it back though.
I know, but like it's unclear. But this was something I've been talking about for years because it's like now a documented thing that I saw him like at a party in Miami. Like I was at a party in Miami that I should not have been at, like some real black excellence shit that I was not deserving to be at, but I went with the DJ.
Yeah.
And I took ecstasy and I ended up wandering around. We're in some mansion on Star Island and I end up walking, I guess it was his mansion. And it's all like just hot. It's all hot black people.
Yeah.
And then just like one moron with an afro. And everyone's like,
right, when you had an afro.
They're like, whose man is this?
Yeah.
But I came in and I basically saw him. I walked in a room I shouldn't have walked into and I saw him like hooking up with a dude. Basically, like full spooning situation. This guy, Felix the house cat, who's like a producer. Whatever. I then told the story on a podcast and then his people called me and were like, you need to say you were joking. Like say you're a funny guy and like you made it up for the views. And I was like, but I did not. I saw it. And he saw me when I came in.
Were you like a little scared?
Yes. Because everyone in the room like stopped because I opened the door and was like, is this the bathroom? And everyone was like, no, this is a room where like celebrities, like male celebrities hook up. It's like some glitterati shit.
Yeah.
And then he basically had people call me and like threaten me and like tell me that if I didn't take it back and say I was joking.
And you still didn't take it back?
Refused, no.
Why?
And then I talked about it on Hot 97 and they wouldn't air it. Ebro, who does the morning show on Hot 97, so Hot 97 always kept me on a pre-record because they were like, what are you gonna say?
Yeah.
They would never let me do a live interview. And I told the story and then afterwards he was like, I'm not gonna run this interview because like Diddy's insane and he blew up Kid Cudi's car and all this shit.
I feel like you did that on purpose. Like you're like, you wanted to see what he'd do to you.
No, I wanted to get killed by Diddy. But now everyone just found out that he like blows up people's. Kid Cudi finally told the story.
Oh,
I've been saying this for years.
You heard that correctly. Diddy allegedly had Kid Cudi's car blown up. According to Cassie's lawsuit, it reads that in February 2012, during Paris Fashion Week, Mr. Combs told Ms. Ventura that he was going to blow up Kid Cudi's car and that he wanted to ensure that Kid Cudi was home with his friends when it happened. Around that time, Kid Cudi's car did indeed blow up in his driveway. The two met back in 2005 when Cassie was only 19 and Diddy was 37. She was an up-and-coming singer that had a hit song gaining popularity called Me and You, produced and written by Ryan Leslie, whom she dated at the time.
So I wanted to get us all together so we could get this, everybody can hear from me how focused and excited I am about the project. I wanted, Cassie to, everybody to meet Cassie. Y'all don't know that. And he was doing that, I heard he also had a young lady that was with him named Cassie that had a record out. And I started hearing this record that was haunting me in the clubs. And it was, it was Cassie's record, Me and You. And it was, I would hear it everywhere I was at. And so I kept asking, what record is that? And Gwen told me that it was Ryan, exactly, it was Cassie. When I saw her, and I met her, and I saw this DVD on her. Hopefully we can play that. That's what kind of made me like really fall in love with the project, because I saw something more than just records. I saw something that there was a personality there. There was something that, the whole world could fall in love with.
Within a few months, in February 2006, she signed a 10-album deal with Bad Boy, which sounds pretty nuts in and of itself. Her debut self-titled album would be released in August 2006, debuting at number 4 on Billboard. Soon after, Combs became deeply involved in every aspect of her life, from her career to having access to her personal medical records. According to the lawsuit, Diddy first became romantically interested in Cassie in 2006. During hair and makeup leading up to a performance, Ms. Ventura's hairstylist hairstylist and Mr. Combs' makeup artist told Miss Ventura that Mr. Combs was interested in her. Ventura shrugged off the gossip and in fact expressed disgust given the large age gap between her and the president of her record label. Nonetheless, Diddy continued to pursue her. Despite her rejections, Diddy was insistent on her spending time with him. Fearing from repercussions for her album deal, Ventura finally complied. Within 2 years of meeting Mr. Combs, Ms. Ventura found herself lured into the immediate circle of her boss, the owner of her record label and one of the most powerful men in the entertainment industry. According to her lawsuit, she had suffered years of physical and mental abuse from Diddy. There were numerous accounts from people who were around the couple during the time confirming that things would get violent between them. The rumors of his violent acts were also confirmed when on May 18, 2024, this video of Cassie being attacked at a Los Angeles hotel surfaced. In addition to the physical violence, Cassie was subjected to doing sexual acts to please him, stating in her lawsuit, within a few months of beginning a romantic relationship with the 40-year-old Mr. Combs, the 22-year-old Ms. Ventura felt beholden to his whims and demands. While in New York City, Mr. Combs told Ms. Ventura that he wanted to engage in a fantasy of his called voyeurism. Essentially, he would hire male prostitutes to have sex with her while he watched and recorded. Mr. Combs began to call the arrangement a freak-off or FO. He would repeatedly tell Ms. Ventura at random moments that he wanted an FO, and Ms. Ventura was eventually expected to facilitate the location and the hiring of male sex workers. Combs would supply the workers and Ventura with drugs, baby oil, and have them dress in masquerade. Eventually, Ventura had enough and planned her escape. On November 16, 2023, Sean Diddy Combs would be accused in a lawsuit of subjecting R&B singer Cassie to years of sexual misconduct and abuse. Diddy would vehemently deny these allegations, but despite maintaining his innocence, the lawsuit would be settled just 24 hours after it was made public, paying Ventura a reported $30 million. At this point, Diddy is the subject of a federal criminal investigation with a grand jury hearing evidence of alleged sex trafficking by the mogul. Typically, this means that an indictment may come in the near future, but as for now, we'll have to sit back and see how it all unfolds.